I've just awoken from a dream again, and I decided to start myself awake so that I could record the dream because of one line that came to me in the dream that I actually wanted to ask um, my father about. But from what I can remember in the dream, I had become like one of the Beatles. I wasn't one of the Beatles. I was like one of the Beatles in modern day. Um, Obviously, I'm female, but I don't think my gender mattered at the moment. I can't remember what my gender was in the dream, but it didn't matter at the moment. And we were doing a Q&A in front of like a youth group. It was a small get together, but I was still like super, super famous. But this group, we were able to get them to chill out. Um, and we were doing a meet and greet, and I was doing some Q&A and just taking the questions and talking and doing interview. And in front of me was this clear, like Rubbermaid bin without its lid with offerings, art. Some of them I think we might have done on the spot, but a lot of them the teens had brought to me, and they were teens. This was a group of teenagers, for the most part, and young adults. Um, and I was just watching a bunch of interviews with people from Star Trek. I'd watched one with Shatner, and then I watched one with Nimoy, and so something was fresh in my mind. After we were wrapping it up, and we were gonna do pizza or something like that, and then we were gonna break and just, I don't know, hang out on the beach or something. I'm not sure. I think this might be one of those recurring youth group dreams that I have. Um, there's some side dream stuff, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Um, but what was interesting was I thanked them for their art, and I said, this is all very good. Some of it was not. Some of it was, you know, very new artist and not great, and some of it was amazing. And I had the paintings set aside to dry, which tells me that they were done on the moment. Um, but then there were some sculptures in the box, and so I'd lift one up and look at it and ponder about what it was. And some people came back at me and told me what it was or what they thought it was. And then I saw, I would set them each aside on the table, stand them up or lay them down, whatever they were capable of doing, the objects anyway. And then what was left in there was, it was interesting because I think it was all Egyptian themed, and it offended me. What was left in the box was like occultic or Egyptian or a blend, and I was offended by it. I said, take this away, get this out of my sight, just dump it straight in the garbage bin. I don't care what you do with it. And I was rather open about it. And later, being awake, I realized if the artists were in the crowd, I probably really hurt them, but I didn't think or care about it at the moment. I was just expressing my thoughts about that and how offensive it was to me. There were two that I'd set aside, and they were interesting. They were an interesting blend. One of them looked like there were two pieces that came together, and I didn't know whether they were made by separate artists or the same artist, but it looked like a candelabra, but a menorah. And the one of them looked like it had been fashioned like I think a seraphim with wings. It had like this wing quality to it, and then this other one was something riding a horse, um, a figure riding a horse, and it had like this. The I think the figure on it, or else the horse had this strange flowing mane to it, and I was excited about these. And I said, if you don't mind, if you're in the crowd and you are open with sharing, does anybody know who made these? And if you don't, that's fine. And two people shyly volunteered and said, these are great, I absolutely love these, thank you for these, if you don't mind sharing. I think I asked what they meant to them, like what was their feeling or emotion in making this. And one guy out of the two spoke up. I mean, they were lounging in their chairs, so they did not like stand up and talk about it. The one guy had this blonde fuzzy beard. I mean, he was very bearded, and his hair was almost a typical Jewish mop of blonde hair, but his beard was just this huge fuzzy thing. Speaking of fuzzy things, Buster's come up for morning pets. Mm-hmm. Hi, Hercules. Hi, Hercules. But at the end, my coworker Pat was there and was helping me organize the things as we let people exit. I forget what it was I asked. If I asked any more then, but oh yeah, the thought occurred to me to ask, but I don't think I got to ask. I'm sorry, in Spock's story, can't think of his name at the moment, but in his story he shared that the women were seated upstairs and the men were seated downstairs, and I remember biblically the women and the men are seated separately. They are in service separately because the women are a distraction to the men. And I wanted to ask and I haven't asked yet, so I'll have to ask somebody else. This is a modern day setting, and so my question was, do you still sit separately in synagogue? And if so, how are your synagogues dealing with the LGBTQ gender transitioning? That was in my dream that I thought about that, and I thought, wow, that's quite a question. But then the other thing in my dream that really stood out the most to me was when Pat was helping me clean up. I spotted in her back pocket her phone going off, and there's a picture of her and I guess her husband or a male figure, another person next to her, and a group of older young adults, probably leaders, in their youth group setting, as the group of leaders. And she looked very natural in it, very tired, but very natural in it, and I was shocked and pleased to know that Pat was a youth group leader. But that was interesting. But she started working on some of the artworks, trying to help finish them because the canvases hadn't been finished. And I scolded her very strongly, and I knew it would come out very strongly because that's my style sometimes. I'm just that honest, and I don't work on tact. So I said, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but don't ever finish another person's artwork. I understand what you're trying to do, and I understand that came out kind of harshly, but that art is their work, and when you add on to it, to me, you're ruining it. That's graffiti, and you're messing up their artwork. So I understand what you're trying to do, and I'm not going to change what you've done. She got offended. She go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again." And I think she said something to the effect like she was afraid that she thought her art was bad. I said, no, what you did is beautiful. It's just on somebody else's work. I would love to see your work stand alone sometime. So then we continued laying the stuff out. Oh, for some reason on the Horseman, I decided not to on the candelabra pieces. But on the Horseman, I pulled on it and pulled it in half, and I feel terrible. I felt terrible afterwards, and I bit into its mane, and it was tasty. I think they might have been made out of either sugar, made out of sugar or I forget what it's called now, but that frosting stuff that looks like and tastes a lot like clay. But I shouldn't have bit into it, and I kind of pushed it back together, realizing this was a piece of art, and I don't think they meant for me to eat it, but it was made out of edible stuff, so I tried it, and it was actually pretty good as far as sugar clay goes. If it was that other sugar stuff that floss, sugar floss that you can, just keep pulling on that caramel and then make stuff out of it. Um, it was kind of bland for that sort of stuff because I think that stuff's like pure sugar. It's like crystallized sugar. It's really crazy good. It tasted a bit more like the God, why can't I remember the name of it? The clay looking stuff, like Play-Doh. Looks like Play-Doh. Anyway, the other thought I had was, yeah, I think I started answering myself in my dream because I might have drifted back in and started realizing I should have asked this question while the kids were still in the room. But it was a dream, so I could ask anybody I wanted when I went back into my half sleep state and asking. And Pat was answering. And in a typical Pat fashion, which is also usually in a typical conservative fashion, which part of my brain really is very right-wing conservative and Southern Baptist Bible thumping. And so the answer was that, God knows who you are and your gender, and you can't fool God. You can't go into a congregation. You may have everybody else fooled, but you can't fool God. And I think somebody echoed or was kind of debating her, like, oh, you're so-and-so, you're one of the Beatles, and they'll let you sit wherever you want to sit. Basically saying, if I think I'm a male and I want everybody else to see me as a male, the synagogue will let me get away with whatever I want because I'm a Beatle. So if I want to look or think like a female, I can sit there, and if I want to look or think or be a male, they'll let me sit there. And I came back with who I am to everyone here does not matter. I forget what it was now. Oh, it was the perfect phrase, and that's the thing about waking up and trying to recount these things. You lose them. But who I am to humanity basically means nothing to God. Not really nothing, but it was like who I am to you guys here in human land. There goes my being able to describe anything. Who I am to you. The phrase is gone. It was one of those perfect dichotomy things. Who I am to you means nothing, or it is not who I am to him, or something like that. It was also beautiful, like God sees through me. All this work I've put in here on this earth to be super, super famous to God means nothing. It doesn't make me someone special. It doesn't mean I get special treatment. To God, I am his child. He is who he made me, and that's what matters to him. All this work, being famous, doesn't get you extra points to God. That's what I kind of woke up on and wanted to share with Dad, and of course the phrase has left my brain. But anyway, so that's my dream, and please don't be offended by the thoughts and point of views in my dream, because it's a dream. And yes, some people argue that your subconscious is more straightforward and more revealing of your actual thoughts, but you've also had dreams that are like, I would be horribly offended if that was the way I really felt. I've had some pretty sick dreams. I'm like, that is not me. And it's your subconscious just being able to work stuff out. And I think that spirit beings can influence those dreams for sure. Because you can have premonitions. So that's a spirit world thing. And I think that means that a bad spirit or demon can influence it, and so can a good spirit or angel or God or Satan directly. So I I try not to take to heart what some of my dreams have in them. I just find them fascinating and something to think about. And I tend to wonder, what was my mind trying to put together when I had this dream? And this one, I mean, it was clearly I listened to too many star interviews before passing out last night, but also dealing with a gender issue um, that may be very personal, but is definitely very current. If you're struggling with a gender issue, I want you to know and understand. And if you're struggling in combination with or separate from a religion issue, whether I call God God or Jesus, or I will use the word because I come from a Christian background and I have no shame in saying Yahweh, or Allah. I don't care what name you call God. I don't care what gender you see yourself as or you want others to see you as. Not that I don't care about you or your transition, but I want you to understand the God that I know loves you, no matter what stage of this you're in, whether you're trying to figure out what to call God and what God thinks of you. I want you to know that no matter what gender you are, what your sexual orientation is, or which direction you're headed in that journey of discovery, that the God I know loves you and made you the way you are. Every bit of it, he made you the way you are. And there is, we'll say, a dark one. I call him Satan. I call him the devil, but there is a dark one who is the master of deceit and master of lies. And he's going to spend his every breath, being a spirit being doesn't really have breath, but you understand what I'm saying, every whisper to try to tear you down and tell you that you are not loved and you are not accepted and that you're not right. You really, really need to tune your ears to the Creator, because the Creator, whether you see them as male or female, the Creator is a spirit being and transcends all of that. Gender is not really a thing for the Creator of the universe and of your body and your heart and your soul. The Creator sees you as precious. Okay, that's more than enough for me. Have a great day.